My name is Liam. Hang on. G'day everyone, I'm Liam. I'm currently 18 years old, planning to race in the under-19s class at the 2019 Penrite Optus Hattah Desert Race. It is currently the 26th of June. We are 9 days out from Scrutineering, and yeah, my bike's in pieces. Majorly in pieces. I competed in the Hattah Desert Race in the last 2 years. In 2017 I got a DNF, and last year I placed 267th, completing 6 laps. This year I want to get top 200, so obviously as a goal. And I am racing on a 1999 Wr200. So the bike's 20 years old and I'm trying to finish in the top half of the field. I had this grand plan to doing heaps of training in the lead up to the race, both on and off the bike. However, 8.5 weeks ago, I was racing the Crüe Moto Pony Express in the Ironman class. 20 minutes to the end of the race, I went over a tyre wall, went over the bars and broke my collarbone. So that kind of put a spanner in the works. 3 weeks after that, I started up again in the gym, as I'd planned to just be riding the bike and have bike fitness to get me through Hattah. So that did not work. Then this bike was in pieces until about a week and a half ago. I rode it again for the first time on Saturday, properly riding it. So that's about 2 weeks out from Hattah, 13 days. And I blew out my rear shock. So that's real convenient. That went off to my suspension tuner, Warren Smart from Control Factory, hence the hat. So that is in the process of getting the shaft re-chromed and the reservoir and everything rebuilt. Now, one not so convenient thing about this bike, it's 20 years old. It's not a common bike and parts are very hard to get for it. So in the last week, I have discovered my rear shock has been blown out. So that's getting fixed at the moment. My expansion chamber was melting a hole through my radiator hose. So I had to order and express ship the only radiator hose replacement in Australia. And my expansion chamber is fairly well dead. I've got a nice dent up here and a crease in here that has bent the whole thing inward. So we've also ordered a new expansion chamber and express shipped that. So I'm currently probably going to have another 3 hours on the bike before Hattah. So that's a total of about 6 or 7 hours on this bike that I'm racing Hattah on in the last, what would that be? 2.5 months. So really not the greatest plan, but shit happens, gotta deal with it. Rightio, I'm gonna try this vlog style thing. I don't like it, but I mean, I got nothing to sit the camera on, so that'll do. Ignore the hair, need a haircut. It is currently the 30th of June. We're 5 days out from the 2019 Hattah Desert Race Scrutineering. The WR is still in pieces. It's a nice Sunday. We had a fair bit of rain last night, so the sand's nice and loamy. So as the WR is still in pieces, how do I turn the camera around? Well, as the WR is still in pieces, I am riding this piece of shit TTR around. I mean, it's not a piece of shit, I love it, but it's really not designed for this type of track. So yeah, I'm hoping to get the WR all organised tomorrow, get that back together. That'll give me 2 days riding on it before Hattah, get it dialed in, maybe adjust the suspension a bit. But this thing is an absolute pig to ride around. I'm currently out here with Coda, who is running number, I think it's 845. in the senior under 19s. It's his first year in seniors. He's on an RMZ 250. The kid's fast. I was having trouble keeping up with him the other day, and that was on the WR. So, mad bastard. Anyway, next check-in will probably be tomorrow when some of the parts arrive. Okay, so I'm doing this selfie thing again. Still don't like it, but it's all that we got. It is currently, I think, let me check. Won't let me check. I think it's about 10 past 8 in the morning on Friday of Scrutineering. The bike is back in one piece, but I don't have my shock in it. So huge thanks to Damien for letting me borrow his shock. Hopefully mine will be back together tonight and in after Scrutineering. I just need something to roll it through. And yeah, with the new pipe, we need to do some carb testing. So that means pull the carb out, check the main jet, buy some more main jets, different sizes, go out to a track and test it. That's as well as needing to set the rider sag and my rebound and all that shit on this other shock in case my other one isn't ready. So I've actually got time to test it. So I have 5 hours to do all of that and put a fresh tyre on a rim. Oh, this is going to be fun. Alright, so I'm sitting in the car at the moment, just got off work. It's about a week, nearly week and a half since Hattah. I didn't get time to do the videos throughout the weekend because I was way too busy, but just had a look from where the last one took off. So Scrutineering, we were 2 hours late to that. We ended up going 2 sizes up on the main jet to put it to a 230 main. Standard is a 210. So that was starting to run sweet. That was absolutely beautiful. Rod was doing, because I'm registered, so legal. Rod was testing it on a gravel road and was doing snakies at about 100 k's an hour. And that was in 4th gear, I think. It's got 6 gears. So, yep, it should pull nicely in a straight line. Now, Scrutineering, got through all sweet. We realised once we got there, my shock had a bit of free play in it. So I picked it up half an hour before we were meant to be at Scrutineering. That got thrown in the bike, everything else got thrown on, but still 2 hours late. Anyway, we got there, we had to zip tie part of my shock so it wouldn't twist. I think it's standard free play that it's meant to have, but we were a bit worried that they might pin me on it at Scrutineering and not let me through. So we did that, got it back after Scrutineering, set the rider sag on it finally. Then we pulled it out, made up a rubber grommet so it didn't have as much twist, put it back together, put everything back together. That night I think we packed up everything in the shed at about 12:30 that night. So got to sleep at 1 in the morning for that. Scrutineering, I wanted to run the GoPro, but I couldn't because it was flat and I didn't have the charger with me. So sorry about that. No GoPro footage of prologue. But the track was tighter than it used to be. So that was a bit of a shock. Nice bit of moisture in the sand. That was sweet. But I felt good on the bike, but I didn't get the starting position that I hoped. I ended up, I believe, 344th, whereas last year I got 331st. But the field this year was a hell of a lot quicker. So, yep, I'll cut this off here and I'll let you see Sunday's footage and Saturday footage, and then I'll cut to Sunday's footage and I'll talk about that one. Okay, we're about, hang on, let's see. We are 5.4 kilometres in, and it's spitting out coolant. It's overheating. Yeah. So Sunday, pardon the language, what a mindfuck. That was a shit day, it really was. You saw in the forecast it was going to be rain. I'm like, sweet, wet sand, that's going to be beautiful. We got a bit of a drizzle before we started, so the sand that was nice and was dusty prior had a bit of moisture in it, so that was absolutely sweet. Took off from the start. I think I had the GoPro on for this, but I got blasted with roost, so I got covered. From the footage I got and the sections I could see, I passed 22 people. So not happy with my start position, so I was riding a bit pissed off, trying to make up ground. And make up ground I was. Bike was running absolutely sweet, and all of a sudden it just cut out on me, like completely cut. I was like, oh shit. So pulled off to the side of the track, had a look, saw there was steam fucking everywhere. Like, I'm not sure whether it was the light rain or the radiator fluid, but there was steam dripping onto the expansion chamber going everywhere. I popped the cap off the radiator overflow. It had a fair bit of pressure built up in it. It kind of shot a meter up in the air and landed on the ground beside me. Got a bottle of water from one of the spectators to fill it up, and he then told me it was just pissing straight out the bottom. So, yeah. Straight after that, put the cap back on. She threw the bike onto the ground. I was not happy. I think I threw my helmet at the ground as well. And then I was just sitting beside the bike, pretty pissed off. I think I filmed a few sections. I'm not sure if I'll put them in the video, but anyway, did film a bit of stuff. Then I just sat on the ground with my head in my hands for good few minutes, really pissed off until the first group of sweep riders found me. So where I was, there was it's along, I believe it is Watts Lane, so a fair few people were camped along there. So I had a few people to talk to, but Yep, bike laying on the side of the track. I was sitting down beside it with my helmet and everything just chucked on top. Not happy at all with all the work we'd put in to get to that stage and the amount of stress and lack of sleep that had gone into it. But, oh well. Sweeps got me to move it to the other side of the track out of curiosity. I knew I wouldn't be able to ride it with no fluid in it, and if it was pissing out the bottom, something had went wrong. So decided to try and kick it over, and she was completely seized. So, yeah, wheeled it across to the other side of the track, a bit more out of the way, threw it on the ground again. Sweeps called for a recovery, and then 2 sweep groups later, I said, look, I was called for recovery an hour ago and I haven't gotten one. So they called someone and then I got to pick up from that. But in that hour, we got all the rain that caused the race to be called off early. So I was standing in the rain for about an hour and a bit. I think it was 12 degrees, just wearing my gear that's equivalent to motocross gear. I didn't have a jacket or anything on. So I was dripping wet, freezing my ass off. And yeah, got a lift back. I actually had someone stop and ask me if he could borrow my jersey to clean his goggles because it was so muddy. But yeah, no, that was all good. Then got on the trailer and I'll add some footage from when we were just waiting around in the pits so we could leave and do a bit more about the outcome.